Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Weekly Digest, where we are uncovering and decoding last week's beauty, fashion, and culture events. So, this week, we're going to be discussing last week's New York fashion runway for the spring 2026. But I'm only going to be covering three brands that I'm very interested to talk about and digest it a bit more. So, everything of the images that I'll be providing, they're mostly from Vogue Runway, and everything regarding the credit and the photographer will be in the text line below. So, the first one I want to cover with my notes in front of me is the Sandy Liang Spring 2026 ready to wear. This one is based and inspired by doll houses with Fifth Avenue heiress Hugh Clark. And in Sandy Liang's runway pieces, it focuses on lace, buttons, granny fabrics, as I like to describe them, like very 80s inspired silhouettes, basically girlhoods, tablecloths, silhouettes, and so forth. And to be honest, based on like last year's runway or even her previous collection, this one wasn't really my personal favorites with good reason. Because to be honest, like sometimes I get confused between Stanley Lang and Rika Matoshi's works because they're both very similar with the theming of girlhood, and there's a lot of like different interpretation with it. And in case people forget who Rika Matoshi is, it's the one designer who is known for the strawberry dress during the 2020 COVID lockdown. And my problem with this collection is that it looks very unfinished, the fabric and patterning with each other. Because sometimes, like, some people will just have a random fabric. Like, you have a whole dark gray attire, but then you have a random fabric that's just hanging on the side. There's an art to the shapelessness that I could tell Sandy was trying to achieve, but it looked more unpolished. And there's a lot of random motifs that I understand what she was trying to incorporate with the little doll dresses, clothes, everything of that nature. But it felt very stuck on, even though it was sewed onto the shirt or dress. But it gave the impression that it was glued on, which doesn't seem very polished to me. And the differences, at least like both of them are very similar in their lane, Lurica and Sandy, is that they try to incorporate a lot of like these doll motifs. But just a side by side comparison with and Sandy is that Lurica feels much more polished and well crafted in terms of how each pieces are presented. And there's that same like 3D elements of the dollhouse element. Whereas like even if each little doll pieces, as in the clothing, are like handmade and stitched on and everything like that, it doesn't feel like cohesive, polished based on my personal opinion. And it just feels like it's like a gimmick that Sandy's trying to play like over and over again. And to be honest, like I love a lot of Sandy's previous pieces, but this one was a personal miss for me. Because the one that at least like there was like a TikToker, she was quite critical with Sandy Lang as well with the runway. Especially the piece that she brought up was about the dress with girls' underwear stuck onto the dress. And it felt very lazy because it tries to give off a very Lolita vibe. The Lolita based on the very famous novel that was played upon, which is basically the exploitation of minors, to put it that way. And it doesn't really give a good impression to me, especially putting underwear on a garment. And this is a ready-to-wear collection. I don't know who would really wear this unless people wear it as some sort of liberation. So this is a personal no for me. So next is Coach of Spring 2026. And this one is a very interesting collection, to put it that way. And so far, at least like Coach with the Gen Zers has really hit the ball out of park with their creative director, Stuart Weiss. It's a lot of like weather leathers, patchwork tailoring, skylines of New York and Seattle. And this collection was inspired of the feeling of a city, especially before the Manhattan Rush. Inspired by the idea of counter culture mixing with the 70s and 90s grungy and groovy aspects of it all. And I really like this collection because it's like a mix of street and corporate, very strong elements of New York, recycling elements with a lot of patchwork, subtle Coach monograms, bringing the bag elements into the clothing. The belt is almost like the signature buckle that you see on the Coach bags, mix of like leathers, worst wool, denim, and knits and so forth. It feels like very effortless on the go, and a lot of the pieces definitely highlights like America. I believe it was like Santa Monica, Seattle, Phoenix, so forth. So it's a lot of star motifs, cities aspect, and the bags that were featured was like beautiful in of itself. And I love how they have a play on a lot of their iconic bags because especially with like their coin purses that which originally is used to put your coins in and instead they enlarge it to become like a clutch bag, which to me that's a very cute play on aspect into Coach's brand and signatures. So that it was like a beautiful collection of a lot of like grays, blacks, whites, tans, and camel, which is a very interesting compared to the previous collection, which is a lot of like emphasis on color. So really nice to see that. And definitely like Coach is one of my personal favorites out there. Last but not least, we have the Ralph Lauren full showcasing for their spring 2026 collection. And the color is definitely strong on the red, white, and black. And the theme is based on the idea of strength and femininity. And this is a very interesting and very exciting time for Ralph Lauren for the brand because this is their 60th year. And it was announced by the CFDA that Ralph Lauren is nominated for the women's wear category. Especially like going on for 60 years, not many brands has lasted for this long. So this is definitely a big milestone for the brand itself. They're not the type of brand that really goes out to have that shock factor as newer or younger brands will do because they're more tamed to their classic and effortless tailoring, which is more aligned with their archetypes of an effortless, classic, clean woman archetype. So it's like in between going to the office and also like loungewear that I've noticed with mix of like pinstripe suits, lounge pants, blazers, and adapting menswear into women's wear. But the strong signature that you can see like very cohesive is the Ralph Lauren tailoring and a lot of like sheer fabrics of it all. Is it my personal favorite? Not really, but I could still see why like the brand signatures and their tailoring is so very strong still to this day, and it definitely echoes within their market range. And they definitely know their market for what they're trying to achieve and so forth. But overall, I'll definitely go more deep dive regarding New York Fashion Week in my Substack article. It's going to be in my Virgo monthly oracle. So if you want to read more, you could always click in my link in my description. And if you have anything you want to say about certain shows that I should look into, especially like certain brands, feel more than welcome, or any opinion per se, because I'm always interested to hear more. You're more than welcome to leave your comments down below because I love to interact with all of you. And yeah, any feedback is good feedback in my books. I hope everyone has a good rest of the day and can't believe it's already like almost the end of September. So I hope everyone has a good one and have a good rest of your day.